Welcome to Weight Loss and Wellness for Real, the podcast where people like you get the practical solutions and support you need to permanently lose the physical and mental weight so you can feel better and live the life you want in the body and mind you want. If you're looking to overcome your stress eating, overeating, binging behaviors, and move to a place of freedom with food and your body, you're in the right place. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here and for listening. I appreciate you always tuning in to these new episodes and also sharing the podcast with anyone else you think might find it valuable. We are going to talk today all about forgiveness of self, an issue, a thing that all of us could use in our lives in order to make everything a little bit easier, but including if we are working on our physical health, we really do need to be able to go into that psychological realm of making sure we have that really healthy relationship with ourselves, and that includes learning how to forgive ourselves. So forgiving ourselves for past missteps, mistakes is really key to psychological health. And as I said, it's also key to our physical health and well-being, being able to forgive ourselves, to release that shame, to release that guilt, and to come into our own authentic beings creates the long-lasting ability to move through life, really obtaining our goals and being able to exist in fulfillment. It allows us to be free and gives us the ability to transform self-sabotaging behaviors into execution of the behaviors we actually want to be engaging in. Our past selves, many of us have some thoughts about her or him that cause us to feel really angry or resentful now. Your past self may have made a lot of mistakes. He or she chose to overeat or binge many times. He or she may have restricted too much in order to lose weight. He or she broke promises and broke commitments to themselves and to others. My past self did all these things too, and although she felt like she had her life together, and she really did in many ways, she would fall apart when it came to food and eating and exercising and restricting. She would let herself go, stop caring, choose food over people, and do things she'd regret because she didn't know what else to do. She felt urges and she didn't believe they would go away unless she ate food. She thought counting calories was the solution. And because I did all these things, there were many, many, many wasted moments of my life. There were many missed opportunities for fun and for pleasure. There were declined invitations and holding myself back from things. I hear myself say all of this, and you would think I'd be really angry with her, really disappointed in her. You'd think I'd resent her for doing this to my life. You'd think I would be angry that she made all these decisions that led me to spend years struggling with eating, with food, with my weight, my social life, my romantic life, and my work life. But I'm not. And I hope that you are in a place or can get to a place where you are not too. Keep listening to learn how to get there. I hope you are finding something useful from these episodes and this podcast. And if so, please share it with someone else in your life you feel it could benefit. This podcast is also now monetized. So if you really feel you are getting a lot from it and want to help keep it going, please go to the episode show notes. You can just scroll down from wherever you're listening. You'll see a description of the episode, and then you will see it says support this podcast. And then there's a link you can click on. You can click on that link, and that's where you can support the podcast. Even the smallest donation, like 99 cents, helps to keep me producing the podcast. And to those of you who have donated, I really, really appreciate the support. I really do appreciate all of you listening and sharing the space with me. Again, just very thankful for all of you. Your past self that got you to where you are today didn't do everything she did to purposefully sabotage you. That wasn't her intention. That wasn't his intention. She tried and she tried hard. But what she tried did not work. She didn't know it wouldn't work. She believed it would. She heard it would work. Someone told her it would. The internet told her it would. It worked for someone else. Maybe it had worked for her for a period of time, so she tried it again and again. I kept doing that thing that worked for me before. In my early 20s, I was able to change my eating habits by counting calories and over-exercising, and it worked. I ate less and I ran more, and I got the number on the scale to the lowest it had ever been. So when I gained a bunch of the weight back and was binging, I was sure counting calories and over-exercising would work because it had worked before. But this time it didn't. I mean, there were times where it helped me have some guidelines to follow, but when an urge was strong and I felt compelled to eat a lot of food, I didn't give a crap about the calories. They didn't matter to me anymore. Yet I kept going back to it, counting the calories, over exercising. My past self only knew to focus on the food and exercise. She only knew to focus on her behaviors and actions. She read about distraction techniques, but those didn't work most of the time. She'd try, but then keep thinking about food while doing the thing. She read about different ways of eating to stop cravings, but even when cutting out those craving-causing foods, the urges to binge still kept coming for me. She did all these things because no one ever told her to focus on herself, her urges, and her thoughts. In all the searching she did, it never came up, and she searched a lot. She couldn't see the real obstacles in front of her that needed to be overcome because she was focused on the wrong things. And I can't blame her for not finding the solution that would finally work for her until almost 20 years after the binging began. It was not because of lack of trying. And I currently give her a lot of credit for not giving up. She was resilient. She kept resolving to stop. She kept searching. She kept trying what she thought would work. And even though there were times she lost hope for a moment and times where she gave up, she didn't quit on herself. If she had done that, I wouldn't be where I am today, not binging ever and being the coach and therapist that I wish I had when I was binge eating and restricting. She may have created a lot of misery for me, but I can't be mad at her for that. She didn't know what she didn't know. She didn't know any different. She tried what she thought would work. So I forgave her. I have compassion for her. And I hope you can have that for your past self too. She wasn't trying to make your life worse. She wasn't trying to make it better. She binged because she wasn't trying to make your life worse. She was trying to make it better. She binged because she didn't know what else to do. She did it because she wanted comfort, pleasure, or enjoyment. She wanted to feel good, and we really can't get mad at her for that. I mean, don't we all want to feel good, right? So that's how she knew to do it, and after getting stuck in it, she could not figure out how to get out of it. But like my past self, yours is resilient too. That's why you're here listening to this right now. You searched, you maybe found this podcast, you've been listening, you're learning a new approach, one that makes sense and that will change you, not just change the food, because that's what needs to happen. You need to change. What happens in your mind needs to change. Your past self didn't know that, but now you do. So you, as your present self, you can get to work on making sustainable, real changes in yourself that will create changes in your eating and your life. Mending that relationship with your past self is so important. We talk about having that healthy relationship with ourselves now and the importance of that. And part of that is mending and repairing that relationship with your past self. When you think about her, when you think about him, think of her resilience and have compassion for her lack of information. She didn't know better. And don't think of it as wasted time either. It really is true that going through hardships causes us to be strong people. Going through the binge eating or the overeating or the emotional eating or the yo-yo dieting will have a positive impact on your life. You may not be able to see it now if you're still struggling in it really hard, but I promise you it will. For me, it turned into a career that I absolutely love. I get to help others who struggle with the same things I did. For other people, I've seen them go through coaching or therapy and create better lives for themselves because of it. They never would have gone through coaching or therapy to begin with if they weren't struggling with binge eating or overeating or disordered eating or dieting or losing and gaining weight. And the byproduct of doing the work was learning how to make every aspect of their life better. If they hadn't done it, they would have just settled for feeling mediocre and living that really mediocre life. And when you go through something like this, it makes things that come after it way easier to deal with. If you can stop binge eating, overeating, emotional eating, which you can, by the way, then you can do anything. It will be so much easier to believe in yourself when you're faced with hard things after going through something hard like this. It's a total confidence builder. It's a growth opportunity. It's a resilience builder. I know that when you're in it, it might be hard to think of it that way, but take that little bit that I just said and have it in your back pocket. Have it on standby. There will be moments when you will believe it. And one final thing, this isn't just about your past self from however many years ago. This goes for your past self that binged or overate yesterday or any day or this morning. Getting mad at her for doing what she did, getting mad at him for doing what he did isn't going to help anything. She did it because in that moment she thought it was the right thing to do, or she didn't know what else to do, or she forgot what to do. It happens. Forgive her. Take a moment to look into why she did what she did. Get curious. Find understanding. She didn't do it to purposely hurt you as her future self, as your future self. She most likely wasn't even thinking of you or wasn't thinking that you'd be okay or not okay. She made a mistake. She had a misstep. He made a mistake. He had a misstep. It happens. Forgive your recent past self and forgive your past self from months and years ago. It really feels so much better to be okay with yourself past and present, letting go of the anger and bring in the forgiveness and compassion. She makes mistakes, you make mistakes, and you will continue to in the future. Forgive all of them because not forgiving doesn't have an upside here. Forgiveness feels so much better than anger and resentment. Once you go through this process of forgiveness of self, you will find it so much easier to stick with healthy and nourishing eating, healthy movement, and you will eventually find yourself living in effortlessness around food. No more food and body chatter, and living in the healthy body and mind you have always wanted to live in. Thank you for listening. I hope you found something valuable here. Remember that self-forgiveness is so important. Take some time to maybe journal on some of this or consider working with someone to move through this. It really is one of the keys to finding that lasting, healthy relationship with yourself, with food, with your weight. All right, pass this along if you think there's someone who would find it valuable, or if you can rate the podcast from the platform that you're listening from. All of that helps me keep an episode coming out every single week. All right, have a great week. Talk soon. Did you know you can find a lot more help from me on my website? Go to heatherheynen.com. Heynen is spelled Heynen, and get in touch with questions on all things I offer, like online courses for overeating, weight loss, goal attainment, and also my coaching and counseling services. Just a reminder that this podcast represents my own opinions. The content here should not be taken as medical advice. The content here is for educational and informational purposes only. Please consult your doctor or healthcare professional for any individual medical questions you may have.